Welcome to Uncontained, episode 175. I'm your host, Aaron Static Render, and this week I talked to one of my good friends from back home who has worked personal security for many stars. Yes, Sharon Stone, Ryan Seacrest, Joe Rogan, and also some rock stars as well, including the legendary Vinnie Paul from Pantera and Hell Yeah. I've been trying to get him on the show for quite some time now. Our schedules just haven't lined up. I honestly think the dude should write a book about all of his experiences with celebrities and the stories that are behind those experiences. Gus is also one of those guys that wherever he goes, he knows somebody. He can't walk into a bar, a concert, or anywhere without somebody bumping into him and be like, hey, Gus, what's up, man? So there's a lot you can learn from this guy from networking as well and keeping in touch with people. And he also taught me how to get backstage at a concert too. Just basically walk in like you belong there. If you hesitate at all, they're gonna look at you and be like, you do not belong here. I don't care if you have a laminate, but I know something's up. So walk in like you own the place, and you got a chance of getting backstage to hang out with your favorite bands. And it also helps having somebody who's 6'8", 300 some odd pounds with you that looks legit in the situation. But I got some great stories out of Gus in this episode, and I know you will enjoy them as well. Some with Joe Rogan on Fear Factor, and also a lot of stories about Vinnie Paul. If you're a Pantera fan, if you're a Damage Plan fan, or even a Hell Yeah fan, you are going to like this episode. It's the behind the scenes look at the celebrities that you see from the standpoint of their personal security. So plug in your earbuds. This right here, my friends, is a fun episode, and this is how Gus lives uncontained. Gus, welcome to the show, my friend.
Good to hear from you, brother.
Yeah, definitely, dude. It's this is an interview that I've been trying to get lined up for a while. It's just, you're a busy man, I'm a busy man, and we're also half a country apart right now. So
This is true, and it sucks. I miss my buddy, man.
I know, dude. I know. I miss all my friends back home, but out here is kind of where I need to be right now.
I dig it. I dig it, man. I dig it. That California dreaming. I love it, brother.
Oh yeah. Coming from the Midwest, you're always dreaming about getting to the coast, and you did some time out here as well as it's in Vegas. So, in addition to being my friend and working for some of the bigger names in the entertainment industry, is there any other part to the introduction that you would like to add to?
No, obviously love your show, man. It's great to get some stories out there that people might not know, and just very thankful to be a part of your show, my friend.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on. So, let's just jump to the start of it. You're a big guy. So for people who don't know who you are, I'll have a picture for the show art. So, you'll see how big Gus is. Maybe I'll put a quarter next to the image to do that. But how did you get involved into personal security and watching over the stars?
Yeah, that's it's a funny story. So I have always, at least a big guy, we're looking at 6'5", almost 300 pounds. So yes, a big guy. But so, like any big guy, it starts in the bars. You do bar security, or you do security at a show, event. Just kind of your normal everyday security work. $10 an hour. So I started doing that, but how the personal security came into play was I was managing a gentleman's club, that you might know.
Yes.
And I one night had been drinking a bunch of booze, and I was in front of my computer, and I was like, I just want to see what my options are for security work. So I went on to Craigslist in LA, and I was looking for private security or bodyguard work, and I had found a company called Valiant Security based out of Hollywood.
Okay.
And so I I entered my resume, and which at that point in time, I had really not done a whole lot. I mean, really no big name security. I was so fortunate back in the 2000s to have worked for a show called Fear Factor.
Oh,
And
yes.
so that was, yeah, so that was part of my resume, and, just, doing local security, that was on the resume. And, I was also a security manager at a few clubs. And so I had, again, entered my resume, and they had called me and said, hey, we're very interested in interviewing you, we set time to interview. And I was like, of course. They're like, okay, get you out here for an interview. And I'm like, yeah. Well, what they did not know is that I was in Iowa. So, I hopped on a plane and I flew out there and I interviewed with Southern Security, and they said, we think you're a good fit, and we'd like to hire you. So I was absolutely ecstatic, and they said, well, we just want to make sure that you have got your license. And I'm like, oh yeah, of course I do. Well, what I did not know was in California, you have to have your BSIS card. You have to have pepper spray permit. You have to have a baton permit, license to carry. So I'm like, no clue that you needed this. So they're like, okay, well, we'll send you a packet for the detail. First, we're going to need all of your credentials, make copies of that. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll get that to you. So I leave this interview hired with a very predominant security company, and I am crapping my pants, to be honest with you, because I'm like, I don't have a clue. When you're talking about a license, I have no clue. So call a buddy of mine that has been in the industry for a while, and he's like, yeah, brother, you gotta get certified, man. So I contact AKI Security Institution in Huntington Beach, California, and I let them know, here's my circumstance. I got hired with the company. They tell me I need to be licensed, and they're like, absolutely. So I ended up going out, again, flying out to California, and I had taken their class, and I remember staying in the shittiest Motel 6, after getting out of class, just studying, all weekend long. And I was so fortunate to have passed all my tests and getting certified. And so that's how that started. So I ended up getting my detail with this company, and it was for Sundance Film Fest.
Cool.
So yeah, and so fortunate to work with a few big names for my first go around at Sundance Film Festival. So Heath Ledger, Slash. My primary detail was for a band called Soul Stash, which is Charles Hendon's son. I'm not even sure if that band is still around, but so yeah, that was my first experience, and really what gave me the taste of what security, like professional security, is all about. And I was bitten, man. I couldn't turn back after that.
Definitely. So was this Heath Ledger before or after the Joker?
This would be Heath Ledger before the Joker.
Before the Joker. Okay. All right. Because, this is just a little side note. I remember hearing something about Jack Nicholson telling Heath Ledger not to take the role as a Joker because it messes with your mind of reality, your perception of reality, because he's such a lawless character. And, he did great as a Joker, but unfortunately, it messed with him apparently.
Well, I think that there's a lot of people that have inner demons, and whether it's taken out through alcohol, drugs, or however you release those demons, I guess it's your life to do whatever you want. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. So.
Yeah. All right. So let's jump back just a minute. You mentioned you worked on Fear Factor. I knew that. For some reason, I was under the impression you did security on Fear Factor for Joe Rogan. But what was your role in Fear Factor back in the day?
So I have worked with Fear Factor on a couple times. So Lock and Key Productions is Fear Factor, and they had a location, their location shot in California, and then also Las Vegas as well. So I was fortunate to have worked with the Las Vegas shoots that happened, and as what I had worked with that was as a production assistant, but also had done security with Joe Rogan. It was me and a buddy of mine, Devo. Devo, if you're out there, what's up, brother? But so yeah, it's just a lot of good time. The one thing I did not know going into and working for that show is that one episode is 5 days, and that's 14 hours a day. So
Really?
that was a tough gig. Oh, and then the Vegas heat, so you shoot at night, so you're not rotating. So, but it was a cool experience to see how back end works, and again, just very thankful.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I got another question. Does Joe Rogan even really need personal security? Because from what I understand, he's
He
pretty much of
doesn't.
a
He's
badass.
pretty much a badass. He's. Have you seen that dude kick? He kicks like a mule, man. Like that.
Man, that guy, I tell you, he has a badass podcast, but and is a great comic. But I would not want to be a heckler at his show. I'll tell you that, because he's liable to
No,
come down off the
that guy is
stage and finish you.
he cracks me up, man. He's outspoken individual, man. He doesn't hold back. So
Right on, man. So Fear Factor to Sundance, and then what was next in your progression after you got bit by the security bug?
so after my experience at Sundance Film Festival, I come back to Iowa, and that my detail with Sundance Film Festival lasted 30 days. So came back to Iowa, and I was just like, man, this is what I need to do. And as I mentioned at that time, I was running a gentleman's club, and really just burnt out on that whole industry. So I was like, listen, man, I think I need to make a go around at this. And so I packed everything up in a 6x9 trailer and moved out to Hollywood. Did not know anybody. And that's kind of how it started. So I remember going into Hollywood, and at that point in time had the worst credit ever. And it's Midwest broke, and so it was a hustle. I was going through alleyways picking up internet feed and staying with out of my car for a bit, and then just putting resumes in and just really kind of pound the pavement, and then all of a sudden it hit. I started getting replies back to submitting my resume, and I think I want to say the first gig that I got was a reality show on the Food Channel called the Chef Jeff Project.
Okay.
Which they had hired me as a talent coordinator for that, but a show that was based off of high-risk teenagers, but all of these kids had the same passion for the culinary arts. So Chef Jeff, I don't know if you know much about his life. He was arrested and in prison for mass manufacturing of crack cocaine, and through the prison he taught himself how to be a chef, and is now a very predominant chef in Las Vegas. He lives in Las Vegas now, but this was in LA where we had shot the Chef Jeff Project.
I did not know that. So it looks like he got his start cooking something else before food. But
I didn't say it.
I did. I apologize. But no, but that's awesome though, to be able to come back from that and turn like his life around to actually doing something productive and helping kids that may be in the situation that he was in, do something positive.
Absolutely. The guy is super humble, and, look at his story. I mean, it's the chance, check him out. He's just one of those statistics where you think that you'd lose it or they have lost all hope, and he just really turned around and just a really solid guy.
Very cool. I'd heard of him, but yeah, I had not heard that story before, as we said. So, now, what would be like one of your most interesting jobs as a personal security guard?
Well, interesting. Now that's a loaded question, Static. There's a whole bunch of interesting questions or circumstances. And now, when you say interesting, you're saying like, what was my favorite, or what do you mean?
Well, we'll get into that too. But like, what was, I don't know. I guess I'll put like, what was one of your most challenging experiences?
I would say my time with Benny Paul was challenging. This is just an angel, such a beautiful man, but has really just gone through some horrible things, and so I think challenging, to live with somebody 24 hours a day and be sympathetic to what's going on in their life, and I could never imagine having to be a rock star all day long and having your heart broken, because your brother's not around.
Definitely.
And it was a tough gig, when you go out, You get loaded, have fun, get wasted. And the last person that you see when they put you to bed is your bodyguard. So it's when there's have been multiple drinks had, and those feelings kind of erupt, man. It was a tough gig because like I said, when the last face you see when you're upset and pissed off at the world is your bodyguard. So when you wake up, one of the first faces you see is your bodyguard. And you remember being so upset, and the last face you see is me. So it was a tough gig, man, because you think of course you can't handle anybody else is saying something to that magnitude or that level.
Yeah, yeah. So you said with it being the last face that he saw before he went to bed when he was angry, did he end up like associating those feelings with you then? Or was that kind of what
You
was
know,
challenging about it?
yeah. The thing is, I just you know, I don't even know, man. I mean, it's again, I can't ever speak about losing a brother or sister, and um, I don't think it was ever portrayed onto me. I think that again, it's just it's it's sad, and I just wish that I think a lot of people wish that they could have taken that pain away, but unfortunately we can't. So.
Yeah, yeah,
But
definitely.
no, it's the guy was just a sweetheart, just a great provider, and just a great friend, and of course an amazing rock star. And so Vinny kept it together really well.
Yeah, and it had to be amazing getting to know him. I know, like, when you were working out there, I actually came to visit you in Vegas and got to hang out with Vinny and the whole crew. And Vinny was even cool with me just crashing on his couch as a complete stranger to him. So that was really awesome. So I guess where
Yeah,
I'm going with this is there had to be some amazing times with him as well. Do you want to talk about those so it's not all a downer on Vinny Paul?
yeah, and when I say downer, that's just life, and that's the thing is that I was fortunate that Vinny had asked me to move in with them and be, personal security 24 hours. And of course, very fortunate to have taken on director of security for a band called Hell Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so, just it's like I said, Vinny was such a great provider and such a great man and certainly had taken care uh, of, of his people. So there is endless, numerous amount of stories that I have with Vinnie Paul, my time with Vinnie Paul, and um, I don't, where can I start? I mean, it goes on for days, and that's what I think. That's what I take away from that situation in my life with Vinny, and there were numerous years that I was with Vinnie Paul, and just be able to carry on and tell these stories, with people that maybe have seen Vinny, play or have had a chance to shake hand or take photographs with him, it still trips me out every day, that was my life for years and just the fun stories that we have.
I bet, man. I bet. And when I said downer, I guess I didn't really mean downer. I just wanted to bring some of the positive side of working with Vinny out,
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like with all that went on with Vinny Paul, was there you mentioned you took some stuff away, but was there like a lesson that you feel that he taught you, like a life lesson?
He did absolutely, and that's to be very humble, and always take care of your friends, and love your friends. Like, he was
Definitely.
honestly, and you had the pleasure of honestly spending some good quality time with him. He was just a beautiful man. Um, and just talking how it really showed me how to be just a decent individual. And not that I was not a decent person. There's you got to give a little, get a little. And this dude was giving, constantly giving. And just that heart was so huge. And so I just learned, if you're good to other people, those people are going to be good to you, and that's going to be good to you. That's what I learned from Vinny.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Not just to put one of the names of his bands out there, but I always felt weird about saying hell yeah around him, like because it's like I'm sure he hears that all the time with the band name Hell Yeah, But
Right.
uh, but there's the
Well,
whole.
just remember, by design. By design, that band's name was by design, brother, because
Oh, I'm sure it
everybody's going to
was.
tell you. So,
I know,
yeah.
I know. They have the whole adage like, don't meet your idols because you'll be disappointed. Vinnie Paul is an exclusion to that. He's like one
100%.
of the like
100%.
rock stars that you would meet and not be disappointed after meeting.
Very, very true. Very true. And, there's, living with Vinny, there was some bands that would come through the house, and there's a lot of people that I was not disappointed in, and there are some people that I was disappointed in. So,
Yeah, you will definitely have that. And you know what I've learned too, for people who are out there meeting their idols for the first time or meeting like bands for the first time and the first impression isn't good, kind of got to meet them a couple times before you can really say like if they aren't cool people or not. Because, for example, I met the guy from, I can't think of his name right now, but he sang in I believe it was Soil Now with Drowning Pool. Met him at Laserfest in Des Moines, and it turns out that
yeah,
day he just got the news that his dad died. And it's
yeah,
like, if you didn't know that and just ran into him, and you'd be like, dude, he's distant, you didn't care about me. But there's all that stuff that's happening behind the scenes.
yep. Yeah, and there is, and that's the thing, when we're talking about, meeting your idol. It's, I think people, put their stars on a pedestal. These are just human beings. They're like you and I. They're just really good at what they do, and they're very fortunate to have a career in music or a career in acting or a career whatever they do.
Definitely, man.
There's success in everything. You're successful with your podcast. So I think when people either get, staritis or they're, oh my God, it's St. Paul, or oh my God, it's Sharon Stone or Ryan Seacrest or whomever it is, these people see, they are on just FaceTime. They either see them on TV or they see them in the movies, but they don't understand that these people are real, they're human individuals.
Definitely, and it's easy to do that as a fan, because especially with like social media these days, you're only seeing like the A moments of the stars that they're
Right.
posting. They're not gonna post
Right.
like their shitty moments. They're gonna be like, oh, dude, this is awesome. My life is awesome. You kind of want this, type thing, and
Right.
that's why people want to follow them. Um, you've worked for, I'm just changing subjects here a little bit, no transitional
Yeah.
material at all, just gonna jump into it. So you've worked for a lot of stars. You mentioned Sharon Stone, Ryan Seacrest. What are like, you have any stories about them? I've seen you posting pictures on Facebook all the time too. That's kind of how I know about some of the people you've worked with. But
Sure.
who are some of the notable ones?
It's notable, I guess. They're all notable in their own means, but I'm very, very close with Sharon Stone and have worked with Lynn Seacrest and Neil Sabari. I had worked at this Chow downtown Beverly Hills as the head of security there. So really had a chance to speak with and just kind of rub elbows with some of the greats. So a lot of great moments. Don Rickles, I mean, that guy is just funny as could be. And
Really?
TMZ does a really, TMZ does a really good job archiving these people's lives. And of course, again, it's for show, but these people, it's amazing, when you have somebody that is an entertainer for a living, they get paid to do that. But, by, you know, by talent alone or their national instinct is to be an entertainer. So it's so fun to watch these people interact and, when they're out having dinner and, TNC's there and they're just cracking jokes. And it's just cool to see them on a real time level.
Yeah. So Don Rickles, was he full of one-liners like he was on stage? Is he like kind of the same person on and off stage?
He was 100%. He was a very amazing individual. Again, God bless his soul. Um, yeah, that's just a fun guy. Sharon Stone, that's just another individual that I can't say enough great things about that gal. Oh my gosh, she was just a fun gal and just living the best life she can live, and so talented as well. But honestly, that was probably one of my favorite people to work with. She was just a fun person.
Right on, man. Right on. So, what would be like one of the most fun experiences you've had doing personal security? Would that be with Vinnie Paul or with somebody else?
Yeah, it would be with Vinny. I just again I had such a fun time, and with Vinny, I mean, there's so many stories, and he just had allowed me to travel the world with him on tour with Hell Yeah. Just that, I was thinking of, you had given me a question about one of my favorite experiences. So, I'll
Definitely.
talk with you about a story about our experience in Scottsdale, Arizona. So, Vinny is, of course, a very spontaneous individual, and when Vinny wants to do what he wants to do, he does. So, we had been drinking the night before, and in the morning, Vinny says we're going to Phoenix to go see Chickenfoot because obviously Vinny and Sammy are good friends with each other. So
Okay.
he puts a message out to a very well known bass player for at that time a band called Sin City Centers, and then a message out to one of our buddies that was a pit boss at the Hard Rock and says, "Hey, we're having a barbecue. Get your ass over here at 10 o'clock sharp." So I know what's going on. We're going to put these people in a Cadillac and we're going to drive down to Phoenix. Well, they don't know what's going on. So it makes it even funny. So these guys show up. Hey, barbecue, pretty tall. Well, we're like, all right, well, we're all going to get in the little crate and go get some supplies like we usually do. And they're like, cool, man. So we get in the car and we're out and we go south. They're like, what's going on, dude? And he's like, we're going to Phoenix, bro. We're going to see Chickenfoot. They're like, Benny, I got this. I got a show tomorrow night. The boss is like, I got to work tonight. And he's like, nope, you're calling in sick. And that's how Benny did not care. It was Benny Paul's time all the time, man. You know what? So these guys are like, shit, all right, let's go, man. So we drive Benny's Cadillac, escalate down to Phoenix to go see Chickenfoot, and had a great time with Sammy. Such a great guy as well. And so we're supposed to be there for one night. Nobody's stressing out. Nobody's weirding out. Benny's like, man, we'll get back tomorrow. Don't worry about it, dude. So everybody's like, all right, cool. We got you. Let's do this. So we get there, we see the show, and we stay in I believe, Scottsdale, Arizona, and just have a great time drinking that night and just partying. And the next day, Benny's like, you know what? I want to stay here for a while. And as I mentioned, when Vinnie Paul wants to do what he wants to do, man, that's what we're doing. So we have myself, Vinnie Paul, Dry Dog, again, bass players, Sin City Centers, and our pit boss buddy. And these dudes are like, hey, we're supposed to be here for a day. And he was like, no, man, we're hanging out for a couple days. So sure as shit, man, we get a hotel room. And then he gets a hotel room for everybody. These guys calling in sick, calling can't make the show, calling pit boss out, not making it. And we hang out for a couple days. Well, it gets to be the second day. And he's just like, Vinny, are we going to go home? He's like, nope, I'm not ready to go yet. So these dudes are pissed off. Vinny's like, if you want to go, man, I will fly you back. And he sure as shit put these fellas on a flight. And they were back in Vegas, skip-doo-doo. And it was Ride Dog, myself, and Vinny Paul. We ended up staying in Scottsdale for 5 days.
Wow.
So funny story about that is, I don't know if you know this, but Vinnie Paul is a huge Halloween fan. So yeah, anything to do with Halloween, that's Vinnie Paul's style right there. If you've ever been in his house, ghost album ghouls everywhere, and the dude just finds it hilarious. And so we're in Scottsdale, Arizona, staying in a beautiful hotel room, and Vinny's like, I want to go get some Halloween decorations for a room. And I'm like, are you serious? He's like, I'm dead serious. So we go to the spirit of Halloween, and this guy drops $3,000 on Halloween. I mean, I got ghost album schools. I got this coming out of a trash can. I got mad scientists. And so he spends $3,000 on Halloween paraphernalia, and he's like, all right, man, let's go to the hotel. Let's set this up. So we get back to the hotel room. This thing looks like a haunted house, static. I'm not going to lie to you. I got bats hanging off the wall. I got bubbling cauldrons. I got, again, mad scientists. Like, we're talking 7-foot tall mad scientists. I got a zombie coming out of a trash can. We got a fog machine. We got a guy on the floor, zombie guy. His hand reaches up when you go towards him. So I mean, this place is on fire right now. And it's just
That's awesome.
Vinny has, yeah, he just has got this insatiable laugh if you've ever heard Vinny Paul's laugh. Just digging it, man. And so one night, drinking, just having a blast again, and it's probably around 3 o'clock in the morning. We get back to the room, and Vinny's like, Josh, order. So I call, order pizza. This dude is sitting there, and he's facing the wall, sleeping, and this pizza guy, I thought he was sleeping. This pizza guy shows up, and of course, I open the door, and here's this zombie, brains, and this pizza dude flips out. He's like, what the fuck, man? You hear Vinny in the background just cracking up, man, and
That's
I'm like,
awesome.
fuck you, Vinny. But that's just how he rolled, man. It was just, the guy was just always having fun, and he just, every circumstance, every situation with Vinny was always a fun one. So that's my fun experience. One of the million that I would share with you, brother.
Right on, man. Right on. Yeah, I've heard some great stories, and I honestly think you should write a book about this, or at least an audio book. Continue to come on podcasts, tell the story. But if you do write that book, you'll have to come back on for sure. One more question before we move to my final 5 questions. Last question before we get to that. Who is the person you worked for that surprised you the most? Like, whether it's like how they were, your impression of them was completely different than what you thought, or whatnot. So who surprised you the most that you worked with?
I would say Sharon Stone. She was, again, I have never met a more positive, happy soul in my lifetime. Just a woman that's so beautiful and living the best life possible. Just a lot like Vinny, she was just somebody that you wanted to be around, and somebody that was just, you could talk to her as a person, but just so humble and just a sweetheart. So I would say that would probably be the person that really, I was like, man, I didn't know going into it. I was like, well, sometimes, people's personalities, they clash, but with her and I, it was always cool.
Please tell me she had a Halloween hotel room too.
She, unfortunately, no Halloween hotel room stories with her.
All right, fair enough. But
Sharon, if you're out there, we could do a Halloween hotel room. I promise, I'm here. Get over me.
Yes, and you have experience at that now, thanks to Vinny Paul.
I do, absolutely. Thank you, Vinny Paul.
Yes. All right, cool. So I'm glad to hear that you've had some really awesome experiences. Now, I have 5 questions that I ask geared to help people who want to get into the entertainment industry, and I tend to gear them specifically towards your profession. All right. So, the first one is very plain and simple. What advice would you have for somebody who is looking to get into doing personal security or take their security job to the next level?
Sure. It's got to be honest with you. My career in the security industry is a rarity. Again, I'm so humble, so thankful, to have been able to do this for a living for a long time, but to be honest, man, it's not normal. People that, and it doesn't matter how big or small or security. Listen, if you're smart and you take your job serious and it's a party, man. It's every circumstance is different. What I would say is that if this is something that you're interested in doing, bust your ass and do it. I was put in a rough situation where I had to have credentials, but I knew that this was something that I wanted to do, and I knew that this is what I was made to do. And I'm busting my ass, So I would say, listen, if you truly want to get into the professional security, get out there and beat the pavement, man. Make sure that people know your name, make sure that you're seen, make sure that you have a business card that's legit, and people remember who you are. But also, don't be a creep. A lot of this is just gift the gab, others to the right place at the right time. And if you are a good person and you're in a good position and a good circumstance, you're gonna surround yourself by good people. And So always make sure that you're surrounding yourself by good people. I'm so thankful with Vinnie Paul that it was a drug-free camp. Well, we drank like fucking frat boys daily, but um, don't put yourself in a bad situation. Always surround yourself by good people. Hustle, and if this is truly what you want to do, man, it's obtainable. It was for me. I'm a kid from the Midwest that didn't know shit, didn't have anything, and it's just about grinding, man. Just put your nose to the pavement and roll.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Throughout the years, you've obviously had to promote yourself. Now, promoting yourself as an actor, a comedian, or something may be slightly different than promoting yourself as a bodyguard. So, what is it that you do to promote yourself to the people who will hire you?
Again, I think it's about, it's and for me or multiple other people that are in the profession, being a big guy. And, let's be honest, I'm not a beautiful guy. So it's a tough gig to sell yourself and sell that trust and sell that friendship and, and really put yourself in a position where people are comfortable and they're like, okay, shit, cool. But, this guy's cool. Let's bring him in. So, it's just, again, to promote yourself, you really just got to put yourself out there, be professional, and be well spoken and be knowledgeable about the profession, about what's going on, and if you are lucky enough to be hired, know your business, know what you're doing, because in the security profession, it is not 90% bullshit. The rest, knowledge. It is 100% knowledge, because
Yeah.
these are amazing people, and really, truly, your life is in if their life is in your hands, um, so really know what you're doing. So as far as how I promoted myself, you just have to know what you're doing, and you have to build that trust, and people can sniff that out. People are
Yeah.
not stupid; they can tell if you're bullshit or if you're serious. So,
Now, one thing that I noticed from hanging around you, and my brother actually noticed this too when he met you, he's like, man, Gus knows everybody. And like, you kind of have to be like a master networker or something. Do you have any networking secrets that you could share with the uncontained audience?
we've known each other a long time, brother. And one thing that about me is that I am everywhere.
You
Uh,
are.
I am. You will see me in different states. You will see. I mean, but this is listen. I love music, man. I love entertainment. Um, and now I'm so thankful to. I have put myself in a position where I've forged some really good friendships, which allows me to do a lot of traveling and allows me to see shows and hang out, So it is just being out there, man. And when you say a lot of people know me, yeah. And that's the thing too, is that again, you have to. The only person that will ever promote themselves the best is you. So you have to get out there and you have to excuse the term, but shake hands, kiss babies, and make sure that you're again forging some really good friendships and putting yourself in good circumstances and make sure that people know who you are. And
Definitely.
sell yourself, man. It is all about selling yourself. That's how success is built.
Yeah, and do you do anything like to keep in touch with these people, or is it just they recognize you when you see them, or are you constantly trying to keep in touch with people that you've met along the way?
Some of these people, unfortunately, I'm not able to say hi to anymore, and that's sad. But some of these, in the industry, it's you do certainly keep in touch with some people, but it is different when you have lived that life. And for me, I had done this for a long time, and I was like, I just I kind of wanted to move back to do something a little less chaotic, which I've been so thankful to now be and have a very successful career in the medical industry. Um, so it's a crazy life, man. But you got to appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, man. So now, when you work with a client, or when you were working with a client, was there anything that you wanted them to take away and remember about the experience of working with you? Like, is there any impression that you had in mind that you wanted them to take away?
I think any so there's a lot of professional bodyguards and security guys, and there are very few people that have the opportunity to either one live with their client 24 hours a day, or two work with their client on a regular basis. And I think that every serious security professional that has a certain somebody that they work with on a regular basis, I think what that person wants the client to know is that we would do anything to protect them. That's why they hire us. And just to know that that they're in the best hands, and that because of the person that you've hired has that experience or has that education, has that knowledge. And I think every professional bodyguard or security man that again works with a client on a constant just wants their client to know that you made a right decision, and I'm the best for the job. So
Perfect, man. I just got a couple more questions for you before we wrap this up, and then I'll let you. You said something about later today you have something with motocross going on?
I do. I'm so fortunate to have been involved with a production company called 7-4 Productions. Brandon Simon, the mastermind of these wonderful racetracks, and so we here in our local town here, we've got the motocross races happening today, and like myself, I tried to involve myself as much as I stepped away from the professional security. I'm still out there. I'm still out there helping my buddies. And that's the thing too, is that you just form these friendships, and people that own businesses and would be in need of that. And so what, I just we kind of go out and we just have fun, and allow a whole bunch of riders to ride the track and have a good time, and everything's safe.
All right, man. Cool. By the time this airs, that will actually have already happened. But have fun at the motocross races tonight. And now I know we talked about like a lot of things that were kind of highlights in your career, but this is one of my final questions, so I have to ask it again. But what is a highlight or two from your career that you would care to share, if there's something different than what you've shared already?
I think that we've gone through a whole bunch of stories, and just uh, I just want anybody that's listening to know that there are just some absolutely wonderful people out there. That start that when you see on TV or you hear on the radio. Uh, these are legit, super awesome people, man. And so fun stories or circumstances. I mean, there's just so many static. And it just allows me to be able to be a storyteller for the rest of my life.
Hell yeah, man! I'm looking forward to the book. I'm looking forward to the book. I'm telling you, you just gotta get out there and write it now.
we're
I'm
you know we're getting closer, brother. I don't know if I'm gonna pull that trigger yet, but it is on the table. There's no doubt.
well, I'm just trying to speak it into reality. Make it happen.
I and I don't know. I mean, I think like anybody, it's who the hell wants to hear my stories? And again, as this, I'm the most humblest dude on earth, and again, just so thankful to have this amazing career and to be able to step away from it and have these stories, and then go on in my professional life with another amazing career. And I just when we talk about books, man, yeah, there's a lot of stories, man. A lot of photos that people haven't seen. That they're just fun photos. It's seeing somebody in the rare state where they're just having a blast, And so I don't know, it's a tough one, because obviously, you want to you want to give that person privacy, but there's some fun stories that people need to hear, because
Definitely.
life is truly about just a storyteller, man. It's who's got the best story, who can laugh.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Well, I have one final question for you, but before that, is there anything you wish I asked you today that I didn't? Because I know you have a lot of stories, and if there's some situation you didn't talk about that you want to, I want to make sure to get it out there.
I think that's not up to me. I think that's up to your listeners, and I think if they have questions for you, they'll let you know. But I think you've done a great job. Thank you.
All right, All right, Gus, we're there. We're at the final question of the show, the title question. Gus, how do you live uncontained?
Exactly. In my life, you go 1,000 miles an hour straight forward. You want something, bust your ass and get it, hit the pavement, man. My life is uncontained. It's a revolving door, and everything changes on a regular. So living uncontained for me just means getting out there and doing it, man. Put in that work, make those relationships, build that trust, have that love, have those friendships, kick ass, love life. And that's about it, brother.
All right, man. Short and sweet. Perfect, though. Get out there and experience life and see where it takes you, kind of. And I do need to take some networking classes from you, brother. You know everybody, so I need to pick up some skills at the trade from good old Gus right here. I appreciate you coming on the show today. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Were you going to say something?
No, I was just giggling. No, I think you do a good job, brother. I like your show, man. I hope everybody else likes it, too.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I hope so, too. But I thank you for coming on. I got one final thing for you to do today, Gus, and that is sign off the show. Would you do me the honor of signing off the show today?
I would love it, brother. And again, congratulations on your success, Static.
Thank you.
I am Gus, and I live uncontained. And Gus, you trust. Get yourself.
And that does it for another episode of Uncontained. Thank you for listening, and thank you to Gus for making time to come on the show. He had to get out on time because of a motocross event that he was doing security at. So, unfortunately, we didn't have time for more stories, but if you would like to hear more, let me know. I'll be able to get him back on at some point and maybe even encourage him to write that book with all the experiences, the sharing of the stories that he has of the stars, such as the ones mentioned in this episode and more. I, for one, got a kick out of the hotel Halloween room in Phoenix, Vinnie Paul story with the pizza delivery guy just about crapping his pants after being scared by a ghoul and zombie hopping out of a trash can. So, and then seeing big old Gus there opening the door. I know I want to hear more stories, and I'd be happy to deliver them to you here on Uncontained on a future episode. Just let me know which ones you want to hear more of. Do you want to hear more about what it was like with Vinnie Paul, Sharon Stone, Ryan Seacrest, or even the late Heath Ledger, since that was one of his first gigs? I'm sure he has some stories about that. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate it on iTunes, share it with a friend, and leave a review as well. Also, while you're on the internet, hit me up at my social media, Uncontained Pod, at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. At the very least, share the episode with a friend who you think would enjoy it or hasn't heard Uncontained yet. So until next time, people, thank you for listening, and live uncontained.